Hi guys, welcome to my channel and to my Back to Beauty No Buy Year. This year I'm concentrating on using my makeup and not buying any. Today's video is my weekly get ready with me, and today we're going to do a full face of my least expensive makeup. I've shopped my stash, I've compared prices, some were easy, some were difficult, but I've got it all pulled together. We're going to find out how much this face of makeup is going to cost at the end of the video. And next week we are going to be doing a get ready with me featuring my most expensive products in my collection. So I hope you enjoy this get ready with me, and let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, let's get into it. I'm feeling and looking a little rough this morning, so it was very hard for me to come on here with no makeup today, but let's go ahead and put some on, shall we? My least expensive primer is the NYX Shine Killer. This was actually the very first makeup primer I ever purchased, and if I had to compare this to something, I would absolutely compare this to the original Smashbox primer, the clear silicone-y one. That's very much what this is like. Definitely not my favorite primer. In fact, I have considered decluttering this one several times. I do believe that this is very pore clogging, which is part of why I don't like it. It's very high in dimethicone, as most primers of this nature are, and so I'm not a big fan of it. So yeah, I haven't decided whether to declutter it or not yet, because I can declutter it at this point in my no-buy. It is not my last makeup extending primer in my collection, so I could potentially declutter this at some point, and the cost on this one is $14. So the least expensive foundation in my collection is my favorite Physicians Formula, the Healthy Foundation, but only by a penny. It was very close in price to the NYX BB Cream. This is $13 and this is $12.99. So yay, I get to use my favorite foundation. I'm really glad. I do love this foundation. Generally, I would let this primer sit down a little longer, but it's the weekend. I'm not going anywhere. If it doesn't perform the best, I will live. So yeah, I like both of the foundations in my collection that were close in price. I do love the NYX BB Cream, but I do like the Physicians Formula just a tiny bit better. I like the coverage as well as the formula and everything, whereas the NYX BB Cream is definitely a light coverage product. So I will be giving you at the end of the video the total cost for this face of makeup. And then, spoiler alert, next week I'm going to do a full face of my most expensive products in my collection. And as some of you know, I am a bougie biatch when it comes to some of my products. So we shall see. I will be interested to see what the comparison is, as well as the results between the two faces. Does one look more expensive than the other? You know, I think that will be interesting. At the end of this video, I also will give you my predictions. Whoa. I will also give you my predictions on what roughly I think the cost of that full face is going to be. I can already tell you, and some of you, if you've been around for a while, would guess that the Natasha Denona Lila palette will be my most expensive palette, so I'll be using that. And that by itself is over $100. So it makes me wonder just how many hundreds of dollars we're going to be working with in products next week. Excuse the hair. We're currently air drying to the point where I can diffuse. Yay! I got my very first blow dryer in my entire life. And I'm very, very excited about it. I will put a picture up here so you can see which one it is, but I think this is going to be a lifesaver when it comes to getting ready in the mornings, especially for filming. Ain't nobody got time to let your hair air dry for 3 hours or longer. I just don't. And I had amazing results with the first diffuse that I did. It was freaking amazing. I'm like, where have you been all my life? And honestly, in years past, or time past really, not just years, like a month ago, before I started the curly girl method, I just put my hair up wet and let it do its thing. So anyway, this video is not about the curly girl method, although I do think I will have a video coming soon on my curly hair journey. Let me know if you're interested in that. For concealer, the NYX HD Studio Photogenic Concealer in the shade CW3. This is a definite holy grail concealer, especially from the drugstore. And this baby is $6. So, and I love it. Like, I absolutely love this concealer. It's a definite repurchase for me. I have no complaints about it. It's definitely a solid medium coverage in my opinion. And I love it. I really honestly probably could buy this concealer for the rest of my life and not be sad about it. It does what I need it to do. It's not overly drying. I can leave it without setting it, which is always nice. The less I put under my eyes, the better in terms of product. Okay, so at this point in my routine, I like to do my brows while my concealer and foundation are sort of hanging out before I add any powder to the mix. So today I'm going to be using, yay, my NYX Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Ash Brown. I'm panning my IT Cosmetics pencil that I strongly dislike. So I'm very thrilled to be using this pencil today because I feel like it just is better for me overall. I don't normally do my brows on camera, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to do that for you. So, I forgot to mention, the micro brow pencil from NYX is $10. I don't usually gel my brows at this point in my routine because I don't want the powder sticking in there, etc. So we'll do that in a little bit. For powder, we're going to use the NYX HD Finishing Powder, and this is in the shade Translucent. I'm not going to show it to you because I'm panning it and I have really fantastic progress. So just going to go ahead and set my face with this. I like to just press it into the skin. Now that the foundation has had a chance to sit a little bit, it will take less powder for me to set down my face. So I like to go in and press the powder in first, and then I'll go back and buff it just to get rid of any excess powder. And this is the powder, oh, I just showed you. This is the powder that I've been using the most lately, partially because I'm panning it, but also, ow, I got it in my eye. Also because I'm anxious to buy a new pressed powder. This is not by any means my favorite. I would purchase this again if I was in the market for a powder just to like absorb shine or for touch-ups maybe. I would consider this one again in the future because it does work really well, and because it's so inexpensive. I'm bad about telling you the prices. This is $10. You know, because it's inexpensive, I wouldn't feel bad if, you know, I got hard pan on it from using a brush on oily skin or what have you. So I would purchase this again in the future, just not for my no-buy gear, and I am missing having a higher quality pressed powder. So now that I've applied that, I'm going to buff my skin. And this is part of why I don't apply my brow gel. The brow gel that I have is not a super strong hold, so my brow hairs would be going everywhere as I buff powder around. Next, I do bronzer, and for this, I was glad to pull out an old fave, which is the number 7 Match Made bronzer in the shade Caramel. I do have panning here. I was panning this last year in my year-long project. I was glad to bring this baby back out today. I actually really love this bronzer. It's definitely my favorite matte bronzer in my collection currently. I like it much, much better than the Hoola bronzer, as well as more than the matte bronzer that's in my Pro Glow, my Tarte's Pro Glow palette. So this is a beautiful matte bronzer. It's very buildable, so it works for me more times out of the year than not.
Bronzer, no bronzer. Bronzer, no bronzer.
So yeah, if you're looking for a drugstore bronzer, I highly recommend this one. This one is $12.99, which surprisingly is $2 less than the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. My least expensive blush, I knew which one it would be right away. I have 2 shades, but I went ahead and picked my favorite as well as the one I thought would work best with the rest of the products. That is the e.l.f. Online Only Blush in the shade Mellow Mauve. I love this. It's a very neutral blush, if you will. And of course, I'm draping a little bit, going along my hairline. When I flush in real life, if I'm blushing, if my husband says something, you know, whatever, I flush all the way here. So that's how I've been loving to apply my blush lately. Some of you may have seen my blush draping beauty school video, and if you haven't, I will link it in the cards for you. And in case I didn't say it, this is $3. That's how I knew it was the least expensive blush in my collection. For highlight, this one I had to do a little research, and this one was the cheapest by the skin of her teeth. That doesn't make any sense. Anyhow, this was my cheapest highlight by 50 cents, and it is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. And this was $4.49. Oddly enough, the other shades of this are $4.99. Not for sure why this is $4.59, $4.49, anyhow, but it does end up being 50 cents cheaper than the Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighters, which are $4.99. And I wasn't heard about it because I haven't used this for a while, and again, I thought this product would go really well with the rest of the products. Oh, yes. This is easily one of my favorite highlighters in my collection. It's very, I don't want to say subtle, but it is kind of subtle, and it's also, it's very wearable. It's a highlight that I think pairs well with a lot of things. It's also not like a
highlight,
like glaring. So it's like very friendly for occasions where you might not feel like going with a streak of highlighter on your face. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I personally love that. Personally love that personally. Whoa, we can tell it's Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. I am all worded out. So at this point, I'm going to set down my brows with my brow mascara and then set the face, and then we'll get into eyes. So for brow mascara gel, whatever you call it, this is the NYX Tinted Brow Mascara in the shade Brunette. It's the only one I have, but it does come in at $7.50. This is not my favorite brow gel by any means. Unfortunately, per my no-buy year, I cannot replace this. So I'm just trying to make it work best I can. The main thing is that the spoolie's a little big on this one, especially because I don't have a lot of natural brow hair. It can be a wee bit tricky, kind of not a good product for me when I'm in a hurry. And also I think I do prefer a brow product that has a little bit of fibers in it, which this one doesn't, insofar as I can tell. So I just apply that, use a little spoolie action to put them exactly where I want them. And then second verse, same as the first. Now I'm gonna set my face with a setting spray. This is not the Cover FX, but it is the Mario Badescu facial spray with aloe, sage, and orange blossom. So I'm gonna set my face with that. The size that I have of this comes in at $7. Ta-da! It's a good thing it's $7, huh? Because I like to drench myself.
I don't know what this card is doing. One of these things is not like the other. No. One of these things just doesn't belong.
Okay, back into another category that I only have one of, and like a DA, I did not look at the price on this. I'm fairly certain that the Urban Decay Primer Potion is $24. So as you can see, a few of these products are going to be the same products that you see next week, specifically the eyeshadow primer and the brow mascara. Those are two categories that I only have one. Anybody else get in a weird mood on the last day of the week? Because I definitely do. It's like all week I've kept the crazy under control, and then Sunday it just goes out the window. So I was very excited. I was pretty sure that this was going to be the palette for my least expensive face of makeup, and I've been wanting to use this for a while, and it's silly that I haven't yet. It's the Wet n Wild Color Icon Comfort Zone, the reformulated Tin Pan palette. If I can open her, she looks like this, and I just love this thing. Like, I have not kept a lot of palettes, drugstore palettes specifically, around, so I'm really excited to use this. I kept this one because it's good. So for my transition, I'm going to use this shade right here, which is labeled Transition. So I'd love to know how many of you have this palette. If you do you have the old 8-pan formulation, or do you have the new 10-pan formulation? Do you have both? You know, what are your thoughts? Also would love down in the comments if you wanted to share some of your least expensive products. Oh, I didn't even tell you the price of this palette. This palette is $4.99, and that's why it weighs in. I do have a couple other drugstore brand palettes, but they are more expensive than this one. That was impressive. I think for the crease, I'm gonna go into this shade, which is called shade number 7. And just put that in the crease. It is a shimmer, but I think we're gonna be fine. So yeah, $4.99 for this palette ain't too bad, in my opinion. One thing that really bugs me is when people say it's good for drugstore or it's good for the price. That really bugs me. Either it's good or it's not good. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear it's good for the price. I want to know, is it good or isn't it good? It's just kind of a pet peeve for me. I think this is a good palette, especially for the price. Not for the price, but especially for the price. So just saying, that's a pet peeve of mine. Next shade I'd like to go into is this shade right here. Definitely one of the shades that made me want this palette. It is one of those blue-brown oil slick type shades. I'm gonna apply it first with the phalange and then we'll possibly use a wet brush. I'm gonna use this on the outer part of the lid. I had this palette before I had the Clover palette, and the Clover palette also has a shade like this that performs a little bit better than this one. So I don't necessarily always reach for this palette for this shade anymore, but I am glad that it has it because it is a pretty shade. There we go. Now we're talking business. Can we decide? Is taupe boring? Do I dare go green? I think the taupe is going to be a better highlighting shade. So I think that's the way I'm going to go. Sorry if you were hoping for the green. Starting out with a brush for this one, but looks like we're going to have to wet it for sure. A little bit better. Still not the brightest crayon in bulks. I find sometimes the applying with a finger on top of pigment that was just laid down with a wet brush can help punch things up a little bit. If you've never tried that, that definitely helped. You can see the difference between this eye and this eye. Like I said, lower lash line, flat definer brush, jump out. I'm first going to go in with the brown that we used in the crease in the outer corner and the upstairs part of the eye. And I'm just going to, you know, line as close as I can to the lower lash line. In case you haven't guessed it, for the inner corner, I'm gonna go in with this sort of creamy vanilla shade. Once we see how it performs on the inner corner, I may even use that on the brow bone. Definitely highlighting there. And for the brow bone, same shade. I think it's gonna be a good one. For liner, this was a tough one. I believe this is the least expensive eyeliner, dark eyeliner that I have. It's from Rimmel, but it's all worn off. Either way it goes, I'm using this one. And then my only flesh or peach colored eyeliner for my waterline is this one here by Pixie. It's the only one I have, so I'm going to use those and speed through it for you. All right, liner's on. I've used my torture device, and now we're gonna do mascara. Of the mascaras that I have open, the least expensive is my L'Oreal Voluminous Original in the shade Burgundy. I love this mascara. I'm very excited to add it to this look. So here we go. My least expensive bullet lipstick is the L'Oreal Color Riche Shine in the shade Varnished Rosewood. Yes. And this rings in at $9.99. I do believe I bought it for cheaper at my Target, but that was the price on Ulta, I believe. And that is the full face of my least expensive makeup. How did we do? Does it look least expensive? I don't know. We will find out next week. Real quick, I'm gonna go finish off my hair, do a final tally of the prices, and I will be back to give you the total cost for this face of makeup and make some predictions about next week's products. All right, guys, so this is the final look. Hair is did. I did go ahead and add the primer potion to the calculations, etc., etc. And with everything added together, this face of my least expensive makeup cost $150.72. That doesn't surprise me, but it does. I guess when I'm thinking drugstore makeup, I'm definitely thinking less expensive, but you would have seen that I have a lot of NYX products going on here. NYX is a little bit higher in the price range when it comes to drugstore makeup currently, although, you know, CoverGirl and Maybelline are hiking up their prices every day. But just overall, with all of the steps, I mean, for your average person, maybe you don't have all these steps. Maybe you don't prime your face, maybe you don't prime your eyes, maybe you don't set your face. I guess 150 isn't bad, but making predictions for next week, considering I know my most expensive palette is the Natasha Denona Lila palette, which is like $130. I predict we're going to be getting really close to the $500 mark, and that's it. Like I said, I predict we're going to be approaching the $500 mark next week. What are your guesses based on the palette we know we're going to use? I hope you guys enjoyed this Get Ready With Me, hearing my thoughts on my least expensive products. I love these products. For me, like I said in my little rant, for me, it has nothing to do with the price of the product or where I purchased it. If it is good, it is good. It's not good for the money, it's good especially for the money. So, with that being said, I hope all of your makeup days are beautiful bargain makeup days, and I will see you in my next video soon.